Hello and welcome to DROIX. We hope you are all safe and well. So this unboxing is for the GPD Win Max handheld, which we'll get on with right away. We have the GPD Win Max, which we'll show in more detail in a moment. We have a user guide which is available in English. We have a USB Type-C charge cable. And on the other side we have a USB Type-C charger. We'll include the right adapter for your country. Here is the GPD Win Max. On the front you've got a 3.5mm headphone and microphone jack socket. On the side you've got the switch to change between gamepad and mouse control. On the back you've got the HDMI port, 2 USB 3.1 ports and 2 USB Type-C ports. One of these is a Thunderbolt port, so that allows you to connect up external graphics cards, for example. You can also find the left and right shoulder buttons on the back there. And on the other side you've got the Ethernet port and a micro SD card slot. And on the top up here you've got the LED status indicators, so this shows you when it's charging and when the fan is switched off and on, and also the battery. Opening the lid presents us with the 8-inch H-IPS 1280 by 800 resolution touchscreen. Further down on the handheld you can see the select, menu and start button, and you've got the power button here. You've got dual analog joysticks which are clickable for L3 and R3. You've got the digital D-pad and 4 gaming buttons. You've also got a 3-point touch pad which is also clickable. You've got a full QWERTY keyboard which is backlit, so it's great for using in a darker area. What we'll do next is show you the GPD Win Max up and running. So once booted up you're presented with the familiar Windows 10 operating system, just like you'd find on a desktop or laptop PC. So you got all the normal things such as your start menu with apps and so on. You can see on here that it's fully activated, so you'll get all the latest Windows updates as and when they're available. We can check the processor settings here, so as you can see it's an Intel Core 5 1035 G7 CPU, and that runs up to 3.5 GHz in burst mode. Obviously when you're sitting on the desktop idle it downclocks the processor to save battery power. You've got 16 gig of DDR4 memory and a 512 SSD which you can upgrade to a larger size if you wish to. And the GPU is a Iris Plus graphics that's integrated. You can, as I mentioned, use the Thunderbolt port to upgrade to a faster graphics card if you wish to. Now for what you've all been waiting for, a demonstration of games and emulators. So we start off the games demonstration with some Windows 10 games. First up is Forza Horizon 4. As you can see it runs very well. This is at 30 frames a second at a higher graphics level. You can, if you wish, to run it at 60 frames a second just by reducing the graphics a bit. Next up we have the amazing looking retro platforming game Cuphead. This runs great on the GPD Win Max. There's no need to reduce any graphic settings or anything like that. Up next is my favourite Space Ninja third person shooter, which is called Warframe. You do need to change the settings a bit on this just to get it running at optimal speed, but otherwise it runs perfectly fine. No issues at all. This is also free to play, so if you haven't tried it, do give it a go. While waiting for the new Premier League season to start, I thought I'd give FIFA 19 a try. This runs perfectly fine again, no issues with frame rate drops or speed or anything like that. FIFA 20 should also run perfectly fine. The GPD Win Max is great at emulation, so we'll show you a few emulators up and running on it. The program I'm using at the moment is Launchbox, which is a front end for various emulators, or you can just point pretty much everything to RetroArch. The GPD Win Max pretty much runs all 8-bit and 16-bit consoles and computers with no issues at all, so things like Genesis, Super Nintendo, even Nintendo 64, it'll run everything perfectly fine, so we won't concentrate too much on those, we'll concentrate on the newer, higher end consoles. We'll start off the more recent games consoles with Wipeout 3 on the PlayStation. Pretty much every PlayStation game will run perfectly fine with no issues and slow down. You can even increase all the graphic settings like bilinear filtering and so on to improve the graphics. God of War on the PlayStation Portable is a good example to show, as many other handhelds have problems running this particular game. You'll see like frame rates of like 14 frames a second if you're lucky. The GPD Win Max, it runs perfectly fine, no problems at all. PlayStation 2 emulation is fairly well supported, although some games do have problems displaying graphics, but that seems to be more of an emulation issue rather than the actual GPD Win Max. As you can see, Gran Turismo 3 is running great, no problems at all. Up next we have Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U. Wii U emulation overall is pretty good, but you do need to be aware that for many of the games, the first time you play it, it does generate shader caches, so you may see momentary lags. The second time you play through that level, for example, it should run perfectly fine, or you can download pre-generated shader caches. And we'll finish off the video with some Switch emulation. This game is Wild Guns Reloaded, and as you can see it runs very well. Emulation in general is a bit of a mixed bag. The emulator's still in the early stages, so not all games will run. Those that do run, you can play them perfectly fine. In the future, once the emulator itself progresses, we should be able to see quite a few Switch games running great on this. You can find out more information and buy the GPD Win Max in the description below. You can also find a discount code which will knock the price down a bit. Thanks for watching, and we hope you have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.